Kia ora, it's Ruth here and welcome to my backyard in Christchurch. If you watched the last video, I did a tour around the whole garden, and now what I'm going to be doing is doing it section by section over different days so I can really explain what's going on and really get into it rather than trying to rush everything what I've previously been doing. So, to start, there's something gone. You may have seen in other videos, I'll try and find a photo, but Caleb has been epic and he's got rid of this yucca. You can see all these crazy little roots in this really deep hole that it has come from, and an amazing amount of sand. We hadn't realised that the previous owners had put so much sand in here. So all this yucca is gone. We've got all these ends that we need to slowly get rid of that are just currently littering our lawn. The big thing about this garden is this is now going to be Caleb's garden. I was talking to Caleb about it and we were sharing ideas of what we thought was going to go in there, what we could do. And I've agreed that Caleb can have this garden all to himself, that he can do what he wants, that I'm not going to have any say in it. I can give suggestions, but it's him to do. So, soon you'll be able to see some changes in this garden. The sand will definitely have to go out, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. We've both got kind of similar ideas with things, but yeah, so get excited, you'll be able to see along the way with what Caleb decides to do with Caleb's bit of the garden. I've got the rest, so I think I probably should let him have one little bit. So if I take you over to the planter boxes, here is where our first little garlic I planted is coming through, and it's coming through really nicely. It's really green and I'm hoping and praying it stays that way, that we don't get too much rust. And what I have been doing is slowly feeding it. I've got some of the Yates seaweed fertilizer, seaweed and fish, and I'm just kind of going along. I've got some horse poo that I'm going to pick up soon and rot a bit more and then put them in, because garlic likes to be fed, and so does everything. And that's what I'm really realizing, is that you need to do a really good base of your organic matter so that your plants love you. Here is the broad beans. Now what I realized the other day when I was looking at them is, let's see if I can find any. No, I might have got them off. I had a whole lot of black aphids. I may have one. Oh no, here you go, this one still has them. Let's see. Oh, if you can see that, there's some black aphids. They're really quite hard to see, but if you can see, there's some black aphids. And I haven't, it's winter, I shouldn't have black aphids, but I've noticed them in some of my broad beans. My combat against that is, I've done it once already, but I don't think I got all the plants, is using your hose and just doing a really good strong jet of water into it, and that should get them off. My second defense will be soapy water, but ideally I just want to use the water to start with. I'm trying to do things as organic as possible in my garden, and the thing about even doing things that are organic, they can kill other things. That soapy water isn't good for aphids, but it's also not good for the plants and not good for other things that are in the soil. So once I've done this, I'm going to get my hose and give some really good blasts to these broad beans. And these ones here, I haven't put any trellis or anything to keep them up. My ones in the back garden I have, but I thought these ones, I'll just see how they go without any staking, see if they'll be okay. And while we're down here, these are the Brussels sprouts that I planted later on just to see how they'd go. And they are starting to have little Brussels sprouts, but instead of using them for Brussels sprouts, I've been using them for the leaves. I really like Brussels sprout leaves in any dishes, just the same as broccoli leaves. They're a bit stronger and they stay together a bit more. They've got quite a nice subtle flavour though, and so I thought, well, if they're not actually going to grow very well for Brussels sprouts, I might as well use their leaves, and it's been really good. So I might do this in other years as well, is make sure I plant them early enough to harvest some Brussels sprouts, but then also have some that I can harvest the leaves. And in the back there is a few rogue beetroot that are growing quite well, but I think I've been giving these too much nitrogen because they're doing really well with their leaves. There is a sneaky kale that's in there too. I'll take you around this side. Here is some strawberries that I'll come back to very soon. This is one of the second lots of garlic I planted, and they look nearly as big as that first lot. And I've got one more lot of garlic I want to plant, potentially, well, today and this weekend maybe. Here are some carrots, we'll go this way, that I can slowly start pulling out. And what I've been doing is I've been thinning them as I go. Here is another Brussels sprout. Is there any going? Not really. And my favourite herb of the winter, coriander. I love it, just picking handfuls, like literally just like that, and adding it to dinner. So that is my first planter box. Now I'll quickly show you the strawberries. So if you'd watched one of the other garden videos, I have slowly been moving my strawberries from in the two planter boxes to by the fence, because that's where I have my blueberries. And I thought, well, rather than trying to net the blueberries and the planter boxes, because birds love everything in my garden, particularly strawberries and blueberries, it means I only need to net one. And so these ones are ones I planted a little while ago, and they're all doing really well. I probably planted them out about a month ago, And what I have here is another stake that's going to go next to my blueberries. One thing I learnt was that blueberries don't have to like go along the ground. They do naturally kind of go upright, but they do have other branches, and so what I can do is I can actually tie them all together and have them all going upright. And they're really happy with that, which is good. But I just want to show you how to plant these strawberries because it's so super simple. And if you're in Spraydon, I've got way too many, and so I'm going to put them down the end of the drive sometime tomorrow or sometime today maybe. So with the strawberries, I currently have this hunk of mass. It is crazy, but it's actually really easy to grab strawberries off, and these are so super hardy, like you can't kill them. What I'm going to do, literally find where one of the plants is, which is hard with all this dead leaf, but it's okay. And I'm just going to pull it off from that main one. Oh, and even in there, there's more than one plant. So there's two plants, so I can just pull these two off each other. Which is really hard doing one-handed. I should have brought my tripod out. Yes! So there you go, and even there, that is two plants, so I could even break that further, but I might leave that for now. So this doesn't really look like much of a root, but it is fine. So literally, I would just bung this straight in the ground. If I take it over to where I've got a few more spots, because I've got a few more I want to put in. Here everything's looking quite good, but I could probably put one about here. So I'm literally just going to go through my mulch, make a hole, and then put it in. And it might flop after the first day, but soon these were all looking exactly so. That's even got a flower coming on, that's ridiculous. So they all were the same to start with, and they take off, which is what I love about strawberries. Strawberries are so much better from your own garden, and they're so easy to grow. So if you're in Spraydon, I'll chuck these out sometime soon because I've pretty much run out of space and I might as well give them on. So looking in this one, blueberries over here. The plants are looking pretty good for winter. We've got some lovely new buds coming along, ready for the spring. I'm looking forward to our second proper blueberry harvest. The first year we had the blueberries, I took off all of the blueberries once they'd set fruit, just to let them really progress and sort out the roots. Second year, which was the harvest we just had, I took off maybe only about 30% of the fruit in the end. I'd planned to do 50, but it's so hard thinning when you just want to eat the fruit. This year I'm just going to let it go for it and we'll see what we get, which I'm really excited. Here we have leeks. We've got some cauliflower that isn't looking that flash. The birds keep getting to it and I've kind of stopped covering it because I want them to grow with just the sun. So we'll see how they go. Here are my trees of kale. These ones are a couple of years old and the leaves get smaller as they get older. And so what I'll do is I'll take these ones out really soon, and this bed will potentially be for some tomatoes because I haven't grown tomatoes here before. Here is my carrot forest, and I've been thinning as I go. So if you have a look down in here, you can kind of see that they are quite thinned, but on the other side, not so much. I know there is lots of different rules of thought with thinning carrots. I say do what works best for you. What I do is I sow them, and as they start growing I thin them as I go, because what I'm finding now is I'm getting some carrots that are tiny little baby carrot size, but they're actually really good at adding to stir fries, adding to anything really, just some really extra veggies, which I love, and it's fresh, and sometimes you get little sneaky baby carrots. Let's see what I can find now. Look at that. So it's only tiny, but it's okay, it's still edible, and it's really good just to add whole into different things and you get a little carrot. So over here, these carrots are going pretty well. And I've got these lettuces, which are caged. I've only been getting kind of leaf by leaf. I find that while lettuces grow well in winter, I haven't been eating them too much. And same, these beetroot have just not really done too well. I thought I planted them early enough, but I didn't. They are kind of going along. There's lots of shade here, but I think I'll need to redo some of these beetroot or potentially move them so I've got more growing space later on. But I've still got this cage, so when the birds play around in the pea straw, they don't get rid of all the things. And I'll put that carrot there so I don't forget about it later. So if I take you over to one more bed, this one is kind of a half sun, half shade one. This is the new one that I made during lockdown, and it's going really well. I'll just uncover it. So that's a lot easier to see now. My tatsoi is going really well. I really love that I can just pick a couple of leaves off each plant and it just keeps giving and giving and giving. I've actually decided that rather than only having this in the veggie garden, I'm going to try use it as some ground cover over with my flowers. Whether I eat it or not, we'll see with it being over there if I get too much. but I've heard this is the first year of growing it, so I'm not too sure how it'll actually go, but I've heard that in summer it kind of picks up more, in the winter it lies flatter. So putting it in the flower garden, hopefully it will just provide a bit of natural ground cover. If it goes to flower, the bees will love it, and it's just a bit of an experiment. We'll see. I like experimenting. Along the back is my kohlrabi, and you can see that it's starting to bulb up down there, which is really nice. Again, first year growing kohlrabi, and I'm quite looking forward to it. My peas are climbing quite nicely at the back. These are sugar snap peas, so I'm really looking forward to them. Down here, I've got where the birds can get to the edge where they've all eaten it. Some spinach and some silver beet, and if I take you through the trellis, there's my lettuces growing on that side as well, which again I could probably eat more of, but I haven't really. If I take you around here, here's some more late planted Brussels sprouts, again that I've just been using as the leaves because I've realised that they're not going to do anything, and some sneaky kale down the end that I think they've gone okay, not as good as I would hope. And lastly, just in this section of the garden, the apple tree is staying for now. One thing I need to do is I need to get in and give it a bit of a thin because it is a little bit too branchy. There's definitely not room for birds to fly through, so I should do that soon because we're already starting to bud. And here I have got my black currants, and I'm really hoping that they will grow this year, some currants, because they have not yet. I've got this big one, and then I've got a couple of small ones dotted around as well that I got from my neighbour. I'm going to stop there for that section of the garden, and then I'll take you around slowly all the other ones. It's exciting to see. Well, number one, it is sunny finally, which means sneak peek on the glass house again. We'll actually hopefully be able to get it finished this weekend. We've got one window at the top, or two. So now that it's sunny, we might be able to get some more stuff done. I am in a t-shirt. It was -1 overnight, and now it's probably about 12 or 13 degrees. Balmy for Christchurch. And probably commonly over winter we get a lot of the -1s. We had a really good frost this morning. But before I finish, one thing that people keep asking me is, why do I do raised beds? Is it because I don't like the ground? One, I do like the look of raised beds. I think they look really nice. But number two is we have a really high water table that in the winter, especially when it's raining, and we've had a lot of rain recently, all of June seemed to raining or overcast, our lawn gets really flooded, and it's just not good for all the roots being in that. And just the way we are in Spraydon, some of the properties are higher than others, and we've got a part of our property that's higher than our neighbours, and then the other part, the neighbours are higher than us, and so it's just nowhere really for the water to go, and we're all really flat. So for me, raised gardens, they do look nice, but it's more of the practical aspect. I'm not worried about the leaning over as much. I'm still young enough that I can lean over, but it's more that they just don't get wet roots all throughout winter, that they're raised enough so that they do have some more free draining. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Check back next time to see the next section of the garden. And if you're in Spraydon, come grab some strawberries sometime soon. Thank you for watching. Ka kite!